Abusuya yebemo bibia kwa ba na abusuya after says a suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkono ababonte behudi a press conference within a num sem attitude that what you say a committee no kra okoswa na chese ye tiatia no question me no busa na ye tiatia na chese yakayaka de ne ye no sa after that no Torkono asa file case ade akọ Supreme Court achese nkọ asa akwakoje injunction asa de ato committee no omo process ne so abusua enda me no kasei news yenya no enda wi ene say Supreme Court asa Torkono ensem no egu a watch say committee no ento aso nkoso enye de dwuma achese Madam Torkono no obese oye everything within her power achese o delay process no isan say first one or the petition echo filing injunction and to process nesua court ekwashi da injunction no. This time around Mahama aside to the same anamoma according to Ivan Chain Innocent no or say Mahama first case our president ma court no and someone no this time around say utua no the ashim copy na Mahama sa ye edekoye na me no kasei the Supreme Court asabo Torkono nsem na gu a ama Mahama no enhu ba bi kra odinity eko akwakoshe abusunya me waste time kra na me person ba mi akọ ya akwakoti ensem a eko so na sana be kono me sure so wonsem kai bia na oda be share your comment section or like share dwumadi no ma foforo sensa into me enkabi medamase
Agrada the High Court, Circuit Court, a sentence to 15 years imprisonment in hard labor. And yes, 15 years hard labor. You may sympathize with her, but because on this particular matter, I'm not going to express my opinion on it. I'm just informing you by way of information. So, Agrada has been sentenced to 15 years imprisonment in hard labor. And yes, 15 years work like a hard labor assigned to her as to whether it is fair, unfair, whatever. I say, but that is the news in town to see Amanoka saying. Main issue Amanoka has to do with what is happening in the court. And 7 Supreme Court judges and after I'm go through parliamentary vetting. A passé, the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and I swear 7 Supreme Court judges to the Supreme Court. And you know what is happening at the Supreme Court, the back and forth with the CJ, whole lot. There were a lot of discussions and arguments surrounding this whole 7 new appointment. Some people were with the views considering the recent tension brew around the judiciary, the appointment of this 7 whole thing, 7 judges, was going to create some kind of, saying, system. So there is certain attempt to, also balance the court. But on the other side, we hear the nature of your judiciary and the fact is that that kind of trust and confidence in the eyes of the people now. There are many who believe that these additions will also go and also balance this whole thing. I may infuse certain trust and confidence in the judiciary. So it's back and forth, but the whole thing is that these 7 judges have gone through vetting our parliament. I'm a parliament at Jomatum, and fast forward and they've been sworn in the Supreme Court bench and so and going forward beyond who said these judges be a part of, but there is a message that the President gave them. A catch almost a rope na almost share. There be a catch us up on when we need the editorial, and I friend sa rope no ne a human as a phone me Google Mukomuno. It's not a mark of an office. Namum it's a call to duty. Said they should serve with wisdom. A catch us in dispensing justice. One thing you can never take away a nyansa. And over the years, that is the kind of thing Ghanaians have been questioning, because how come and a ruling through Supreme Court to bar the ordinary person only baby at law school quite crowd that who say Addo we are more Canadian be yet now omo impose our Ghana for so okoka ho asem I say hey ya chill contempt and whole lot into ama Ghana for hotoso ne ofel ne GIS omo judicial return ma ebe very effective amamfo benya hotoso no sa niam no in the last 8 years in no a blow off any ho. So it's a way of try to reintroduce this trust and confidence in these institutions. Ghana for once again, because my culture said in dispensing justice, it's not just about sitting in the court and pronouncing judgments and giving ruling. No, that is the easiest part of it. The most important part is in dispensing justice, you get the citizenry, to believe, have hope, and even when they disagree, they still trust the judgment and the instinct of whoever that dispenses that particular justice, because they know, the justice was dispensed at the altar of impartiality, at the altar of fairness, at the altar of transparency, at the altar of political neutrality. And all these elements are not there, and you think I am a judge, the law is at my bosom, so I can do anything. Over dispensing justice in the way never sabi sa nyansa and Ghana for the cultural. And over the years, that is what we've suffered. We saw certain judicial arrogance, certain aura of saying arrogance and incompetence be a tofa judiciary no emma amamfo enya hotoso ene opepa to accept the court. And back and forth, my culture say suspended Chief Justice Torkono a time na some they call court na or has a court in the board and some na koso ewo committee no asua na atuagu na ye injunct the process na judges no motia konwia no so no kwa yam pam binim mfiri so, because in her view no ofiri say judges ne bi wo ha omo and deserve class on betna panel no so asam ne yebotugu ye emani lusu ye Supreme Court ye verdict by na 5-0 ebia wadwen say that issue na kwakoda there be yakoda sorry ya the Chief Justice a file fresh process fresh our High Court seeking your friend is saying certain reliefs now all seeking is a court no and making sure seconds unstop it. Your friend is saying committee no adwuma na omo ye no on declare said the adwuma na omo di no aye unconstitutional again. In some na course no human right has been infringed, because processes in the documents are involved in this whole process, this semi-adjudicatory process na course no on and for that matter no and several other relief are all seeking. So as some no they call Supreme Court the ruling by Amadou Tanko JSC me kind of ruling no in details actually some outlines, and I'll come a Facebook page Ivan Che Innocent one me serialize some portions of the ruling me free say Ghana for also be at sa ruling no we move beyond it and we file fresh processes our High Court are seeking to stop the whole process. So what do you say Torkono agent tokana aside say obey a press conference ke kan nsem nyina wie no was signed the assembly for Akwa Court enti na no betia the AG and so a file represented by the Deputy Attorney General, and so a file fresh we are seeking to quash those relief now Chief Justice is seeking, because according to Attorney General no or say in some na ma me no ade akọ court foforo bi ma o bisa court no say yenyima no no yensem hunu, because in their view no in some na ma me no kan nyina no already have been addressed in the earlier ruling na eba ya 5-0 no. All the contention now were raised in the fresh suit no, and the relief she's seeking. These matters now have been addressed already by the earlier judgment regarding the relief and not seeking. So according to the Attorney General, no, it doesn't make sense. Say asama ye dear we yabua for and some na okay can wo sa petition no mina yabua to agu no and then obasia kwa kutwa hwamba atam sa asam na yi bia film de bia hyehyem de akwa lower court across high court na asem, because the all ye nyina is to just drag the process say be ya enkoso na on delay the process. na se maame no wa asem bia ka committee na tena se nchirechiremu bia wo bia na onko chirechirem na committee no make the decision based on the evidence that is available before, but using frivolous and vexatious court processes and those injunction options now warner praying the court to say you stop the process, we should quash the process because you
Abushia inti semino mobi ene ekoko tie na je say ya brother ye fe no Ivan Chain Innocent obe breaking news ade amaya watch say maame no suspended Chief Justice Torkono after so babonti be hold press conference no sa wasa a file case bim ade akọ Supreme Court ankan ko kwadi injunction ato committee no omo process ni so enso nda me no ka say Supreme Court etime abona asem no ato enyensem kumana abusua Ivan Chain Innocent to us watch say Evangelist Mama Part me a ye friend no agrada and news be aba abeto abontia na say ade a circuit court etime a sentence Mahama no into 15 years imprisonment abusua and I say imprison abusua enya asem kuma na when na Ivan say Mahama no ehom se wadi bone eso 15 years there and no ed no papa isan say circuit court na yamma mutumi bia say even obi kura ko bia kontomra yetimi jeli no be 10 years 5 years eno no entwe ya busua no so Ivan edemonsem eto aso nti mepese me bia koda kwakwoti ya brother efe no Ivan Chain Innocent ne nsem a ode to aso
think the arrival our president dibenya the establishment of the premier facie in this particular instances president breachy procedures and processes as outlined in the end, because by culture there is no single document out there that regularizes how this whole process must be carried out. And again, as a president breached this process based on what and a wujina swaka. And again, she's also says the premier facie ruling now and as an establishment of it, Council of State. Ejina swa omo establish ye no onyanya copy menim se Council of State di asem. Council of State, the constitution says should review. It is nowhere say yes a Council of State enter report and they should issue document or whatever. So where constitution or you're silent on all these things. My culture said there are no processes. So in the establishment of the premier facie, all that they are supposed to do is to submit their report to the president, and the president will act on the report. And yet adjudicatory body, omunko di asem. Na waka say omu ruling na yamfa mawonko kan bi na wonti ase na waka koyiwa no. All that they say is a petition na ba no, omu free substance wom, a carry merit, and for that matter, no, a committee should be set up. Na committee ni nye na juma. So the whole adjudicatory process will begin at the committee level. And your Council of State, because Council of State, your judges, your lawyers, but the Constitution says that they should just look at it and determine whether there is merit in the matter or not. Some merit in Nima, or more advising the president, now on what some merit woman, the president should go ahead and set up a committee. It is at the committee level, and assembly that is says a quasi judicial committee. And I say, Yamu. Rule no sana kwakwaye in that particular process a semi-judicial process, and for that matter no won't be near them without listening to the Chief Justice. That is why my culture says per the dictates of the principles of natural justice, the Chief Justice must be heard, and that opportunity, that right has been safeguarded and guaranteed. I don't think a woman invitation or the committee no there you can go with your lawyer, questions will be and whoever you want to questions the issues can be addressed in a semi-judicial fashion you have to go and do it. But to say premier facie ruling, it's not a ruling, it's not a adjudicatory process and I am out ruling. It's a determination based on discretion by assessing the fact and the merit in the matter. The Constitution and can be said there should be a ruling on it as a submitted president. No, what they write is an opinion in the form of a report to the president based on in-depth review whether these things meet a threshold or not. That is all that matters, because now the Amodema President Akuffo Addo oka say nyina so obi anum a waba to aguno that particular report no business the Torkono omode kokoma na na siam fan kwankoma no did she take the president to court? So you see this whole thing I frivolous, is vexatious, and it's a desperate attempt at or more just to stall this whole process. But I think the earlier we resolve this Chief Justice conundrum, the better for all of us. So able to move on to the next chapter, because the judiciary, isn't the only arm of government or the only institution. Ghana must work, Ghana must ride, and there are several reforms. For me, I think as a carry out in our constitution, and even the judiciary nankasa, the court system nankasa, we need to. And Cǎse McCarthy actually, and I agree with him that lower court in the Akroma, the sentencing powers in the more. For instance, this Agrada case here, echoes back and forth. Me woman no minim the I have on several occasions spoken against the name I echoes or more advertisement in this name. But I can sit here and say 15 years sentencing in this particular regard, it seems too heavy. So it looks as if the lower court, when it comes to sentencing, as soon as, because the law gives them that particular room, your money boom, 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 boom. Some discretion in it, sometimes, what the two as now now they're because obitimi will be kontom rekeke na ya sentencing because the law will always give a range. Crime biano judge untimi mo wutim, but it gives you a room. For instance, agrada case ya mo kan 17 defrauding under false pretense. Say I think the ages ranging from 1 day to, is it 25 years or 29 years thereabout. So it give you wide range. So based on the judge's discretion, he can decide to give you 2 days. He can decide to give you 20 years. He can decide to give you 15 years. I think that these are some of the things that we need to look at in our laws, making sure that the lower court will be curtailed. So when it comes to this higher sentencing, and I agree with Cǎse McCarthy, what he wrote, at least there must be a ceiling. Say case, a big case, and who said Nipano deserve a bigger way. Let's take you to the higher court. Say the processes will be thorough. Until Nipano free now or spend 15 years in prison. Now you say yes, a proper procedure, because we go to the lower court now sometimes and the process is not so for no quite bizarre. Very bizarre. Sometimes some people even go to court without representation and as a form, but yet they will sentence you better. Now your jail will be yes, in contom repair 10 years, your jail will be 15 years. The people are just throwing the sentences here and there. What can I see? Proper commonsensical analysis and I will mirror what is comparatively happening in other jurisdictions and how they handle some of these cases here. You could see clearly, there are a lot of problems within our judiciary. I think we need to sit down and over the years, these are some of the obvious realities that we need to avail our mind to and address them. But very often, we say black man when you power, not Jimu, Jimmy, and Sabi, Nyansan Kahuntino, or free sell no. The very things they are supposed to use these powers to do just to influence positively on the life of people. No, or fine yet. Na ye den nam na ye din sem hunu ebi na ye chi zin your friend is saying very your friend is saying or raise concerns about the procedural errors, the constitutional officer infractions, and there's some unfairness be a cause so I am infringing on her human right. But this is a person I want to know the head of the judiciary. What can I say? Amasaniema way in a brand new Chief Justice. She could have called a process to be emotional and can addressing all these things, but she never until a brabatono and a way. Abasa people will push you, say I would need credibility, and for me that's my major concern. So I think we say time has come for us to look widely your constitution, your court system, your judiciary, your parliament, the presidency, everywhere, state institutions. We need to put them under the microscope, do a proper research, and see how a bit more streamline na atimia sync with modern practices. Sabaya Ghana, so no, I'm for better key serious, and that is it for you. Thank you very much for your time. I catch you on subscribe.
Okay, abusua teachers we ne nsema yekoso our political highway ni so chese news a yenya no and be and say maame a your friend Gertrude Araba Torkono maame no court a wasako anko kwadi injunction e dia to committee a ya pa omo se omo hwehwe ne nsemu no okwadi injunction e dia to process ne so no court etimi abo maame no ansem no asa to go for the second time a maame Torkono enhu ba bi kura sisido or dignity akọ chase maame evangelist mama part maame agrada so yetimi ejele no 15 years a abusua enum nsum Ivan etwe na adwene kakra ewo ho abusua medem besia na madam asesa moje pene me kuti nsema ekoso political highway so aha POG Media madam ase